Hey everyone, and welcome back to another one of the Wampa's Lair discussion videos. I am, as always, Jason Hunt, and with me we have Mr. Karl Leclerc.
Here I am. I'm over here.
On the
Hi.
other side of the camera.
Over here.
Over there. There.
Hey, Jason.
It's kind of funny. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. You're in Massachusetts.
Boston, to
and
be precise.
Boston.
You forgot that, didn't you?
I did. No, well,
Just kidding.
your address doesn't say Boston.
Oh, it doesn't?
It's like, oh, never mind.
Okay.
But anyways,
Anywho.
I'm just going to share Carl's address on the air here.
Could you tell everyone
So,
where I live, please?
he lives at 123141568. No, never mind.
That's one hell of an address.
He lives at 3.1415278 Pie Avenue. No.
17.28. That's where the shield generator is. What?
Exactly. All right. Well, anyways, we're not even talking Star Wars, but here we are. We're back on another one of our Wampa's Lair discussion videos,
Here we
and
are.
we have a couple of little items that we want to discuss.
That was my
So-
items. I think that's sign language.
Little item.
Items, little items.
Little items. Yes. Okay. And so the first thing we want to talk about is last episode we mentioned that Michael Arndt was announced as the writer for episode 7, and now
That was me right
apparently it's been announced that we have writers for 8 and 9. Lawrence Kasdan and Simon Kinberg. What?
I know. How exciting.
Lawrence Kasdan, for those of you that are not aware, is someone you should be well aware of because he helped with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So that's 3. Name him 3. Count them 3 awesome movies that he has helped to pen. And Simon
Or pencil.
Kinberg.
It's a chance he used a pencil. A number 2
It-
pencil.
it's very true. Well, that's sort of a George Lucas-ism.
It
I'm
is.
sure
Flannels,
Lawrence.
like I'm wearing a flannel because for George Lucas,
Yes, and I'm wearing.
and you're wearing Star Wars, also for George Lucas.
Yes.
I think he collects royalties on all flannels.
But Simon Kinberg has written Sherlock Holmes, the first one of the Robert Downey Sherlock Holmes, and has written the upcoming X-Men movie that should be released next year, which I'm excited to see. So that's really cool news. So
Yeah.
we don't know which one is writing which film at this point, as far as I'm aware. At
Right.
least not the article.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's specified yet. But
But just the fact that we've got those 2 writers coming into Star Wars and one that already knows Star Wars, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I think our films are going to be in good hands writer-wise. So,
yeah,
let's see.
Yeah, I mean Lawrence Kasdan. I honestly don't know much about the other guy. I mean, I saw the first Sherlock Holmes that he did, which was fantastic. Like we were just talking about before we started. But Lawrence Kasdan, I mean, he is the mastermind behind Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So I think just in general, what's really exciting about all the writers that we've got so far, Michael Arndt, Lawrence, and the other guy, Simon. I know them well enough to use their first names.
Simon Kinberg. There you go.
But yeah, it just seems it's cool because they're shifting into this far more serious aspect of Star Wars. I think that the story is obviously the most important aspect to these new films already. I mean, the fact that the first people they're announcing are all writers and really gifted writers from, what we can ascertain and serious writers as well too, like writers that like can kind of plunge into the depths of like the human condition, like which is what Star Wars is all about. I mean, as a
But yet-
mythical story.
But yet both of these writers, all 3 of them, also are able to, within that subject matter that they're able to tackle, get into the emotional development of the characters. They are also able to like put in really witty and awesome humor. I mean, Sherlock Holmes, anyone? That was,
it was so funny.
hysterical.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Of course, one has to wonder how much Robert Downey Jr. had as far as the Sherlock Holmes witticisms, how much impact he had. But I'm sure he was basing that off of something in the script that was already written. So just the witticisms plus the emotional content that these writers can get into, it makes me gives me a lot of hope and a lot of excitement for what is to come.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, and even like Michael Arndt specifically. I mean, Toy Story 3 has tremendous depth to it.
Oh yeah.
And I think I mentioned this already once before, but two of our theology teachers use that movie for senior theology to teach like a moral theology theme. But I mean, that movie is really cute and funny, but also has this great depth to it. So
Yeah.
I think we can say that our sequel trilogy is in really good hands as far as writers go. So that's pretty exciting.
Indeed. Indeed. And now all we need is for our Christmas present for them to start announcing a director for episode 7.
Yeah, honestly, what I'm actually more excited about though is are the big three going to be in it? So
Well,
that's,
yes.
to me,
but
that's
they're gonna-
I care more about that actually than the director right now, personally. So
I agree. I agree. But at this point, they're going to announce the director before they announce that. So
right,
we have to get that director announcement so that we can get the confirmation.
yes, yes,
Harrison, Mark, and Carrie.
yeah. I mean, I think Mark and Carrie are pretty much guaranteed anyway.
Yeah.
But I need.
At this point, I think Harrison's going to come back. You know,
I do
he's
too.
sort of like, well, you know,
Okay.
all right, fine. You know.
Yeah.
And that way he can say, you know, get off my plane.
Get off my ship on the Millennium Falcon, and then it blows
Yes.
up and he dies dramatically. So, do you think Chewie will be back? Sorry, I know this isn't our topic, but real quick, I was just. Whenever,
think
you know, it's funny because we always talk about the big three, and Chewie, in a sense, is part of the main group.
Yeah, that's hard to say because if he is back, I don't think Peter Mayhew is up to doing it anymore. Just physically, I think
Yeah.
he, you know, he cannot. He walks with a cane now,
Right.
and so I don't think that physically he could do it. So I know there's a lot of people out there, you know, especially with the the Disney parks and official Lucasfilm, you know, Chewbacca's that go out to different events and stuff like that. So they could do one of those, you know, get someone tall and that studies the mannerisms and everything.
Right.
But it'll be different without Peter Mayhew. I think Chewie will be back, especially because we know that they live forever. Wookiees live for a
Right.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Han, even though at this point we would assume he's married to Leia, he still has to have his furry companion. So
Yeah. Have a great scene, you know, where like Chewie's sleeping at the foot of their bed or something.
oh dear.
Oh dear. Chewie, get out of here.
Anyway,
so yeah, we have a little topic,
yeah,
which
so
I'll let you introduce as it's your idea.
This was something I heard on a podcast, the Star Wars: The Saga Continues, which is a new podcast over on the Frontlines Clone Wars feed at the moment, until they can get their own feed set up. Our friend Kyle Avery, who's been on our show a couple times, and one of the other... What are you doing?
I don't know. I like fish. I was pretending to be a fish. Sorry. Sorry.
Fish. You're a fishy character is what you are. So Kyle and his co-host Tim, who's a writer over at CloneWarsPodcast.com, were talking about a discussion that they had on their Facebook page. And that was, now that we have the sequel trilogy, 7, 8, and 9, coming out, what order do you show the Star Wars films in? Because, of course, we've all heard the discussions. Well, you have to show them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Or there's this new one that I've heard, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. And then, of course, the standard just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But now that you've got the third trilogy here in the mix, how do you show people who have never seen Star Wars the saga? And Carl, I'm going to let you start off that idea. What would you think?
Well, first off, I think it's great that we went from talking about Chewie to Kyle Baca's new podcast. So that was a perfect transition right there.
Exactly.
So if you have never listened to this podcast, you totally should, myself included. Kyle, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. I've yet to listen to it yet, but I know it's going to be quality because he's behind it. Kyle's fantastic. So, but anyway, in response to your question, I was actually thinking about this a lot today because I was like, I don't really know. Because part of me wants to say, show them all in order, 1 through 9. I feel like that would be obviously the most common sense way. But I've always still been a fan of showing 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I think the worst one, honestly, is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. I think that's so dumb, personally. I mean, whatever. I just don't get that. That makes no sense because 5 and 6 have to be seen back to back, in my opinion. They're the closest linked of all 6 films, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think for me, and there's obviously no wrong way to do this. Exposing anyone to Star Wars is gonna be a delightful thing. But I think you should go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then blast off. I'm just kidding. That was really lame. No, I actually
Wait until, what is it going to be? 2027 or 2028 when episode 9 comes out. And then
2028. No, it won't be that
maybe
late.
I might be going too far. I'm going way too far.
It'd be 2021.
Yeah, 2021. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I went too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't that a crazy year to think about though? It's like, wow, that's the future. Are we gonna have spaceships and like land speeders yet? Come on.
Oh, gosh, really? I know.
I know.
So wait until 2021. Take your friend who hasn't seen Star Wars to see episode 9 in the theater, and then go backwards.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, okay. So in all seriousness, though, I think what I would do is honestly I would do 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. I think I would show them in the way that they were released, because I think that it does something about the experience of Star Wars. I think the way that they were created, in a sense, is kind of the way they want the story to be told, even though it is a roundabout way. We're starting in the middle and going to the beginning and then going to the end. Now, again, I think I'd have obviously my answer would be far more informed in 2021, when we're still doing the Wampusler podcast and,
Right.
how many,
Right.
11 years, 9 years. That'll be exciting if we still are. I'm going to be so old.
If we're still doing that, that would be crazy.
That would be great. I know.
Longest running Star Wars podcast in history at that point. Maybe.
But it will be. I'll make sure of that. Just kidding. But
so Forcecast, you've got that plan in motion.
maybe we'll take over the Forcecast. Who knows? Curious this one is.
Anyways,
But anyway,
sorry.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say obviously without the release of 7, 8, and 9 to see how they story wise fit in with the other 6. But I think right now off the bat, I would show them in the order they were released. So 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And I think the reason for that, for me anyway, is the original 3 I would always show first because this is what created everything. Everything is essentially spawns from that original trilogy. And I think that, for me, obviously, personally, I'm much more an OT guy than a PT guy. I'll see how this, the sequel trilogy fits in with all this too. But I think the original trilogy captures the imagination extremely well. I think it again, it was the beginning. So let's start there. And then obviously, since if you start there, you've got to go back and look at what happened to Anakin and then conclude it with 7, 8, and 9. So to me, it has to do with this experience of watching it. I think watching the original 3 is always the best bet when it comes to first sitting down. Because to me, it's more about the experience of the films than it is the story itself. Because while the story is obviously extremely important, the story has been told disjointedly, and it's been done well, and it's made sense. So I don't think it's mandatory to watch them in order. I think that's the most logical way, and of course that would make sense. But for me, when it comes to the experience, by watching those original movies, you catch the fervor that obviously changed, our culture. Go back, watch the next 3. That's the George Lucas tale too, because now with 7, 8, and 9, while they're still under, in a sense, the leadership of George Lucas, they're no longer going to be his films. So, put these as last, and these in a sense are kind of the addition to a story that's been told. They'll continue to flesh out the story, but obviously you can watch them last. So that's the way I would do it. But
that's interesting. Obviously that's a very common way that people want to introduce the films to people. But that's one of the most interesting. I've never heard that reasoning as to why, which is it's a really interesting reasoning, and I might have to think about that. However, I'm going to disagree. I would, I've been a huge proponent from the time the prequels were done of saying just watch them all in order. And I'll get to my reasonings why in a second. But one of the big reasonings why people always say watch the OT then the PT is because they want to get the Darth Vader reveal. And I have to say that at this point in our culture, that reveal is so well permeated into our culture that even if you have never seen a Star Wars movie in your life, you still know, no, I am your father. You know that Darth Vader is Luke's father. Yeah. It's all over the place, and if for some reason you didn't know that before, if you want to IMDb the movie before you watch it, you're gonna find out in the spoiler, in the the description, that Darth Vader is Luke's father. I mean, you're just gonna find out, any sort of minor research into it before you watch it, you're gonna figure it out, even if you don't already know. So that in and of itself is something that I don't think is a good enough reason to watch it 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 anymore. Simply because the surprise is lost. The only way you're gonna
might be some noob out there though who's like Luke in Return of the Jedi. Is Darth Vader my father? Rest. Rest I need.
Yes. I mean, there may be a few, but by and large, people are going to know. And so the only way you're going to get that surprise reaction anymore is if you went back to 1980. That's the only way you're going to get that surprise anymore. However, a surprise that sort of is under the radar.
So you're proposing a Back to the Future car, aren't you, right now?
However, a surprise that has sort of flown in under the radar is one that is revealed in Revenge of the Sith, and that being Palpatine is Darth Sidious. Now, Kyle Baca showed one of his friends the prequels for the first time in her life. She had never seen them. And so at the end, and I was over there with a bunch of other friends when she finally saw Revenge of the Sith, and at the end of it, she goes, "So wait, that old man was the evil guy?" So she was completely shocked about that, that Palpatine was Darth Sidious. And that's a huge, huge plot point that's sort of overlooked when you think about, surprises, because for us Star Wars fans, we know that Palpatine, we knew when Episode 1 came out that Palpatine was going to be the Emperor, that he was the Sith Lord. For those of us that were already involved in this, we knew that. For casual people or people that haven't watched it, before, they may not make the connection right away. And so you got Darth Sidious and you got Palpatine. And I mean, even if they're aware of the original trilogy, they know Palpatine as just the Emperor. They don't know him as Emperor Palpatine for the most part. So if you're going to go for the surprise factor and the shock factor, I think that's a better surprise and a better shock than I Am Your Father at this point. And then also, and I really want to, but I have not had a chance to sit down and just watch all the films in one sitting. I really want to. I just haven't had the time to do it, just to see what it's like, the transition from the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy, to see if it still carries over the same spirit like I think it does. And so I just think because of the story, because of everything, Darth Vader will have a much greater impact in the original trilogy if you watch the PT first. Whatever he does, standing there with Leia while Alderaan is destroyed, just every interaction he ends up having with Luke, every interaction he ends up having with Leia, and all the things that he does, with Ben and F, that will all have just such a much weightier feel because of what you know from the prequels. And of course you got Padme's last line from Revenge of the Sith saying, there's still good in him. So I would still say see it 1 through 6 or 1 through 9 at this point. So that's my thing, and I'm like I said, I really want to be able to sit down and watch all six of the released films in one sitting, just so I can see how that transition occurs, and if it's smooth enough, and if it's the way I think it is. Um, but yeah, that's my
Yeah.
take on it.
Yeah.
So
And I think
that went
that's.
Went a lot longer than I anticipated.
Oh,
Sorry.
who cares? That's why we do this. Because we make the timetable. What? 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 I don't know why that required three what's. But yeah, no, I think obviously, yeah, I think that is one of the most sensible, ways of showing. But just here, one last little food for thought, because I'm just curious. I just thought of this as you were talking. Is let's say, yeah. um,
I don't know. You're eating a lot. It's
I don't know.
overloading your brain
Yes,
there.
I know. Ooh, I'm full. But all right. Let's say in 2021, like God willing, I'll have at least one child by then, as I'll be in my 30s, mid to late 30s, and like let's say, or even not your own children, but let's just say somebody wants to see Star Wars. Let's say it's 2015, Episode 7's about to come out. And you want to go see it, and one of your friends is like, I've never seen any Star Wars films. Do you think they should watch that at least one trilogy before seeing 7, 8, and 9? Now, I'm asking you, I obviously have my own thoughts, so I'll give you a second to think, because I threw that on you pretty quick, and I'll tell you what I was thinking, if that's all right, what you're thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For me, like, let's say somebody had never seen any Star Wars films, but they were really, they saw that these new films were coming out. They wanted to participate in this. I would say at least watch the original trilogy, obviously, because it's the direct, it's more of a direct link to 7, 8, and 9 than 1, 2, and 3 would be. But yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, if somebody I wouldn't say to somebody, yes, you should definitely just go ahead, go see Episode 7 without ever seeing a Star Wars film. I feel like that wouldn't be. I feel like that would not be as good, because you'd miss out on a lot. Like we were just talking about right before we even hit record with the whole Hobbit thing. I mean, I've never read the book, so I don't want to see the movie until I've read the book. And I think the same would be true here. If somebody was like, "Oh, I've never seen Star Wars, but I want to go see Episode 7 with you," I'd be like, "Well, you have to watch 4, 5, and 6 at least first." So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I see the sensibility in that. It's I would really find it an interesting experiment to see them how they would enjoy it not seeing anything else first. I just like that way they don't have go into the film without any preconceived how it should be's. And then you can say, okay, did you like that movie? Great. Let's go check out the backstory. And then you can sit down and go, and this is the rest of it. And you can just go through the whole thing with them, get them all pumped up and excited so that you guys can go see Episode 8 in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Actually, I'd like to change my answer. I like that actually a lot more. That's true, because that's the biggest plight, I think, of modern Star Wars fans is all of our preconceptions about that's what happened to Episode 1. Whether or not you liked it or didn't like it. I mean, obviously, I don't like it nearly as much as anything in the original trilogy, but part of the weight on that is, again, these exceedingly high expectations for what it's supposed to be. And I think that's actually a really good point. If you've never seen Star Wars and it's like 3 days before Episode 7 comes out and you're like, I want to go see that first, I think that's actually a really good idea, going in completely untainted.
yeah. Yeah. I think because Star Wars is something that can connect with people at any point. I mean, you could just, drop any of the movies on them, except maybe Revenge of the Sith, and just say, watch this and enjoy it. You can have fun with any of the movies, except maybe Revenge of the Sith, because that just ties so much everything together. And, I mean, you'd still have story missing from some of the films, but you could still enjoy it and still really appreciate what's going on in any of the other movies. And so I think if someone has never seen it before and they're not, and they spring it on you like 2-3 weeks before that they want to go see it with you when you go to the midnight premiere, don't make them watch anything.
Yeah.
Let them find out about what Star Wars is today before you say, now let's visit the good old days. Now let's visit the history here. Because that's what it is. I mean, Star Wars is a history. It's a story here, which is another reason why I want to have, why I suggest watching it 1 through 9, is because it is a chronological history. And, I, being someone who enjoys history as much as I do, that's, you generally don't hop around. But I just like the idea of having people go into it without any preconceptions, because I mean they're going to go into it with some sort of preconception anyway, based on what their friends tell them.
Right. Right.
But
if they have no visual aid to back it up,
exactly,
that can change everything. I mean, you could go in and be with somebody who's like, "Oh, the prequels were terrible. Like this probably won't be that good because the last few were kind of crappy," or you're going to hear something going into it. But if you've never seen anything, you have no evidence to back up any of their claims. So.
Right. And this is another, this is introducing Star Wars to another generation of fans, whether that means that they're just younger or people that haven't seen it before. And so let these new films capture them before you make them sit through the other 6.
Right.
Because if you're going to put this requirement, the other 6, the 3 original trilogy, whatever, on them before they go into this, they're going to feel pressured, and if they don't have time, they might get stressed out and everything, and they may not enjoy the whole experience to the extent that they could. So I think it would be a lot better to just let them experience and enjoy Star Wars at the point that they're jumping in, because this is a good jumping in point. It's going to be set large amount of years after the OT, and so we're going to be reintroduced, to the saga here. I mean, obviously there will be connecting threads, but we're being reintroduced to it again. So let them just be introduced to it at this point.
Yeah.
And then introduce them to the history. So.
Yeah, I hear you.
Wow. We got into some serious discussion here, buddy.
Well, that's what we do in the Wampa's Lair.
Exactly.
We do what we want.
Exactly. So hopefully the next time we do one of these discussion videos, we'll have a director to talk about, and then confirmation of the big 3, hopefully. But until then,
I got excited.
I have a trivia question.
I know you do.
Carl.
I'm ready for it.
Yes. So folks at home, see if you can answer this before Carl does. And this is something that's not directly mentioned in any of the films, but I think it's I don't think it's uncommon knowledge, but it's not necessarily common.
So it's knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just curious to see if Carl knows it. What ruler of Naboo did Queen Amidala replace?
I don't know. A queen?
No, it wasn't a queen.
Oh, a king.
Yes.
King Chakastanu. I have no idea. I don't know this at all. So
Okay.
My PT
Sorry.
knowledge is very lacking.
All right. So. Well, I had to come up with something in the PT just to get you.
And you did.
You sort of half got me last week, and so I'm just like, I need to get back.
Yeah, well, ask me anything from the PT, you'll probably get me. Unless it's direct movie stuff, I'm really good with that because I do like the movies. But I never got into all the outside stuff nearly as much with the PT.
All right.
So.
Should I reveal the answer here?
Why not?
All right. Well, folks, the ruler of Naboo that Queen Amidala replaced was in fact King Varuna. So
I wouldn't have known that at all.
He was ousted on, I believe, corruption charges. He was not a very. By the end of his term, he was not a very liked man, if I remember correctly. So.
Well, they liked her. They tried to amend the Constitution. Remember? Episode 2.
Yes. Yes, they did.
I was relieved when my term was up. That's what she says in response. See, I know my films. I just had to show that I at least know something.
Right.
So.
Even if you are quoting from some of the awkward scenes. But anyways.
I love the awkward scenes. Just being around her again is intoxicating. Be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin.
They betray you. Yeah.
I'd much rather be dreaming about Padme. Me too, Anakin. Me too.
And with that, folks,
da-da-da.
where can people get in contact with us, Carl?
Well, Jason, it's funny you should ask. I happen to have a what is it called? Oh, a business card, right? But
One that we put together for Celebration 6. Yay!
Yay! I don't know if people can read that, so I'll tell you what's on it.
Fuzzy.
It's obviously facebook.com/Wampaslair podcast. That's our base of operations. It's our Echo base. Or the Masasi Temple, if you will.
Right. The Ewok Village.
Or the Ewok Village, yes. Or
the Jedi Temple.
Or the Rebel Fleet massing near Sullust.
Yes, yeah. The Jedi Temple. That's where I would be.
Well, anyway, yes. So facebook.com/Wampaslair podcast. On Twitter @Wampaslair. Or, of course, email us at wampaslairpodcast@gmail.com. Was I correct? Yes, I did it. I'm so good at this. And, of course, you can find us on StarWarsReport.com with also the fantastic Star Wars Report podcast and Star Wars Beyond the Films. So that's how you get in touch with us.
Indeed.
And you.
Yeah, me. That's how you get in touch with me.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
Jason personally. He deals with all of our correspondence.
He is. Yeah. Well, at least
actually, I think we split it. I think we split it pretty good. So
I think so.
So anyway, yes. So we will be recording a podcast later this week with a special guest. So stay tuned to that.
No surprise. It's gonna be a surprise. No secrets. Shh.
Yes.
Don't tell nobody.
It'll be as big as the announcement of 7, 8, and 9. Okay, maybe not that big.
Maybe not quite. But
anyway, I bid you adieu.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching
up,
this.
I love that line.
You're really throwing me off the train.
I know. I'm sorry,
buddy.
I'm pushing you out of the T-47 snowspeeder here.
I've been hit.
Are you still with me?
Dak.
If you haven't hit stop yet, it's because you're a wonderful person.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you guys for watching this Wampa's Lair discussion video. We really appreciate it. For Carl, I'm Jason, and we'll see you next time in the Wampa's Lair.